This is gonna be like a really short introduction because I already made an introduction for the video for itself. I'm making this shortly after. Uh, just real quick, there's gonna be an echo from the from my computer. You'll hear it when I play the video. Sorry about that, guys. It's my first time, kind of setting it up, but now I know moving forward. So, but there's that first disclaimer. Second one, I have no beef with this dude. I don't even know who he is. I am expressing my I'm expanding on what his mindset is, right? I'm expanding the philosophy. I'm expanding how he understands these things because I think it's very important. Because if we only have this one framework and we only understand things through one lens or one scope and one view, this is actually what constitutes as bad advice, as he lays out in the foundation of his video. But you guys will all understand everything as soon as as soon as I stop talking and we get right to it. So, man, there we go. Okay, we're still recording.
I want to talk about something I've noticed over the last year or so that I find a bit concerning. With all the advances in AI technology, there's been a huge influx of AI-generated YouTube channels. And it's part of this trend of people trying to make easy money. Because with AI, you don't really have to put in the work. AI can write a script and then narrate it. It can then generate images or animations to go along with the script, as well as music. And so these channels can pump out tons of content in short periods of time, which is very difficult for real human content creators to compete with. And the thing is, the technology has advanced to the point that you could be listening to AI and not even know it, because many of the AI voices now sound indistinguishable from real people. They can even mimic emotion. And so I don't even know if people are aware of when they're consuming AI generated content. But these channels have become very popular, some with hundreds of thousands of views and subscribers. And because they pump out so much content in such short periods, the algorithm pushes them to the top of search results and recommendations, so more and more people wind up watching them. And there's plenty of reasons to be concerned about this.
Okay, so the first thing I'm going to break down is so he obviously has this. Oh, maybe I can plug this back up really quick. I'm not even sure how this is going to work. I don't know if it's working right now, but hopefully it is. Anyway, I'm just gonna like kind of talk about what he just said in his introduction. So he's talking about AI videos being a sort of an before it's a concern, he's informing people that there's AI technology that is taking over this YouTube platform and space, and um, that it is that's what it is. I guess before I even because I watched this part, but I watched a little bit of what he's about to say next. Um, so maybe I'll save this point until he says what he says next, so you guys have the full kind of context needed for my response. So let's just continue.
And particularly disturbing is the amount of AI content showing up in this particular niche. Videos about spirituality, philosophy, and psychology. Because these three branches of knowledge are deeply rooted in human experience. The insights that I share here and the insights that other human beings share, it comes from having lived. It comes from having struggled and suffered and grown. It comes from experiencing all the messiness of being human. But AI doesn't have any of that lived experience. AI has never experienced joy or sorrow. It's never fallen in love or had its heart broken. It's never felt lonely or anxious or depressed. It's never felt anything. It doesn't have emotions. It doesn't feel or perceive. It's not conscious or self aware, regardless of what some people might speculate. AI is not as complex as some people imagine. It doesn't think in the way that people think it does. All it does is process data.
So a lot of big things were said here, and some were his perspective, his opinion, and then some were blatant, needs to be expanded on, um, for further understanding of what AI is primarily as a whole. I see. Okay, so first he starts out the video by talking about how AI is taking over this YouTube platform, um, and that his reasoning for concern is because in the platforms in particular, the content that in which AI is being used for in particular is has to do with philosophy, spirituality, and psychology. Now, my first um, my first response to this is the fact that he's I'm not sure what um, videos he's watching in particular, but I can say that for one, I do watch these AI content videos, AI fueled content videos that all relate to psychology, spirituality, and philosophy. What you'll find is that it's not AI itself, most times or sometimes, that are scripting the content. What you're hearing is AI voiceovers. You know, what he hasn't seen yet is the fact that AI is actually making philosophy, spirituality, and psychology a lot more easily voiced. AI is a voice for humans to use to express themselves further, to share their insights and intellect and psychological experiences. So while AI itself doesn't do those things, of course not, the human can then expand itself using AI. We have to recognize that not all human beings want to be seen. Not all human beings want their face on their channels. They don't want to even have their voice heard. This is pretty prevalent as before the rise of AI, there are even today, there are channels who do readings, tarot readings, and they don't show their face. They are completely faceless and they have words on the screen and they're using their own voice to read, their own readings. And so when we kind of step out of this idea that AI is replacing human experience, and instead we evolve it to actually looking at the human experience itself, aside from our own experience, which can lead to blindsidedness of what other humans are experiencing, right? When we have that understanding first, then we can add an AI and say, oh, AI is a tool that can expand the human expression. That's That's what we're getting at here. Now, when he says, he really ties in and stamps this idea that AI is completely separate from humans and things of that nature. When he says all it does is process data, he's what he's doing is looking at it binaurally. He's looking at how what humans are and what AI is, but he's not understanding the relationship to it. There's a relationship to both, but his opinions on it are separate. This man himself hasn't found the relationship between himself and AI and computer, but he views it as other people viewing um, AI as replacing oneself. I'm not saying that there are people out there who are using AI in this way, right? But you have to also understand that um, the same experience that humans go through without before computers, before any machine existed, the experience that we went through, we also use things improperly, right? If we really want to kind of get down into the metaphysical concepts of these things, um, we've used things. We've learned we've before we even learn what what a machine is or what a piece of technology is. Like, for example, before we even knew how to write with a pencil, we've we probably used it incorrectly, whatever that means, right? But you can only learn and expand the relationship that you have with this pencil by, oh, instead of seeing it as a writing device, you've written so long that now maybe you start to draw with it. Oh, okay, this piece of pencil technology is not just for one use of writing, but now you can also expand it, the relationship between the human and the pencil and the creation itself. Now with art. Now it's a little bit more flexible, right? Now we can do more with this thing. And so that what he's talking about when he says that AI can't do this and cannot do this, it's not about what AI can do or what it's doing as a whole. It's also not your, I guess, business to concern yourself with what other people are choosing to do with AI because all of it is that same learning process. When he says all it does is process data, we humans also process data. We also learn to expand on learned data, to be able to develop what's called a relationship, to be able to further express ourselves. So, this is the entire point I'm making. And just with this small introduction, but before all else he has to say, but this is kind of the entire focal point of where I'm at in this moment. Let us continue.
Scans through vast amounts of information, detecting patterns, and then generating responses that resemble organic thought. But there's nothing organic about it. It's just drawing from a storehouse of recorded human knowledge. And it can pull from the words of all the great spiritual teachers to produce something that sounds incredibly profound. Yet there is no real understanding behind it, no realization, no awareness. AI has no real wisdom or insights of its own. All it has is access to everything that human beings have said about life, about love, about pain and purpose. And so even when AI is talking about the meaning of life, or how to find inner peace, or explaining the nature of consciousness, no matter how profound it may sound, it's just an imitation. It's just repeating ideas expressed by human beings without genuinely understanding them. Because how can you understand what you have never experienced?
So this so what he's talking about here is actually I agree with. It's true. AI, um you can't say imitates um human experience. But some would say that's kind of what it was designed to do. I mean, AI was designed by humans itself, and so it was also technology is also designed to mimic animals and cognitive abilities, cognitive functions. It's designed to um, mimic and recognize patterns, but it's literally on the basis of everything that we as humans do. Like the same functions and abilities and skills, and I guess not skills, but technicalities and mechanics that AI computer systems um, pretty much generate. I mean, how they generate their everything that they do, everything that AI is everything based on everything that human to do. um, so he's describing it as something separate, which is, but he's describing it as it is. But I don't. I'm failing to see the issue, what he's getting at here. It seems as though it's not clicking in some sense. That I mean, this is why I'm kind of expanding and offering broader knowledge as to, you know, why technology was produced, why AI is able to do such things. It's meant to. I mean, what he's saying here is literally just describing, yes, this is how humans have designed technology to function as, right? It is not acting, and it is not replacing. um and the question that he says at the end, how can you understand what you have never experienced? Well, I would ask that same thing to him. How can he understand the people who are using AI um, to expand their expression if he hasn't experienced it? I mean, it's like it's almost as if this video is just it's like he's saying something, but it should be something that should be said to himself. You know what I mean? Um, he's because he's speaking on experiences that he hasn't understood. He hasn't he's observing experiences that he hasn't yet understood, and yet he's made this video as its a solution, or as it is a that is a conclusion of some sort. It it it's funny. Let's keep going.
Creators, take these three apps I built to run my business made with Base 44. They're ready for you.
And so it's concerning to me that there are so many people who are consuming AI generated content on these topics, that they're taking life advice from a lifeless machine. And I don't know how many people simply aren't aware that they're listening to AI, and how many know it but just don't care. I mean, there are people these days who are knowingly turning to AI for things like therapy or companionship. So why not take spiritual guidance from AI as well? Who needs human beings when you can have a convincing imitation? But of course, there's all kinds of problems that can come from relying on AI for these things. There's already been documented cases of people getting really bad advice from AI chatbots, including some people being allegedly persuaded to commit suicide. And there's lots of therapists and psychologists who have been speaking out about the dangers of relying on AI for therapy and companionship. Because AI does make mistakes, and sometimes it makes things up by confusing facts with fiction. And it doesn't know what it's doing. AI is not self-aware, so it's not even aware of when it might be giving someone harmful advice.
Let's just take a breather here because a lot was said here in such a short amount of time and a space that really just it really kind of anchors in what everything I've been saying before. So everything that he said that, you know, AI has been giving bad advice to people. People have been relying on AI and things of that nature. I find it so hilarious, and my emotions are wanting to come out here just a bit. Let's kind of look at the reality because now it's time for a reality check. Let's check the fact that we too, as humans, may have made mistakes in the past. Isn't that right? Um, but we can go all the way back in history. We can look at history and talk about how humans have made tons of mistakes um, and have given bad advice to, let's just say, Native American individuals. We can talk about the Europeans um, who have who have who are human, by the way, and have given their advice and have shared their ideologies and things of that nature to Native Americans by means of what was it? It was extracting them from their land and wanting to rule over them, wanting to strip them of their nature, all sorts of things. We have the history, and actually AI documents that as well. So let's kind of look at the reality of what we're saying here, um, as if humans haven't made mistakes, as if humans haven't also driven other humans to kind of off themselves as well. Let's look at the reality of this, because it seems that he's actually very blindsided to his own reality or to his own, what he likes to say, self-awareness and awareness, and he's actually he's not aware. He's not. He has no. I mean, what he's saying here doesn't show any sort of awareness. It doesn't even show um, cognitive or intellectual diversity, and in the ways of actually looking at the hardships, the struggles that other humans have endured by other humans that actually look quite similar to him in nature. Um, so we can actually go there. And once we kind of apply that to everything that he's just said, it kind of makes a lot more sense why humans would want to kind of gravitate toward a machine, someone who listens, not it, and maybe self-awareness, too much self-awareness or awareness in general, or maybe thinking that you have a lot of self-awareness is the thing that doesn't help humans at all. What helps is just listening, is not having your own obstructive opinions and insights. It's not seeking help and therapy through your own individual experience. It is not thinking that your way of life and experience is the only way or the best way, or that humans are the only things that can heal other humans. Because these narratives begin to actually are what feed these outcomes that he's saying AI is the one that only have have only created these outcomes. Um, no, it's narratives like these exact narratives. Um, and how he's saying them as if they're absolutes is also what's pretty much harmful as well. It's important to follow the algorithm. There's algorithms exist for reasons. AI and machine exist for reasons. And sometimes these reasons are hard to understand and conceptualize when we are too immersed in our own experience, where we cannot step out and look at the entire human experience, not based on a skin tone, not based on a race or hierarchy, not based on social order or whatever other human experiences is, but no, from a grounded perspective. It is gathering all of the knowledge, it is taking all the insight and removing the mere obstructions of human emotion. Some human um opinions. Opinions as well can serve as obstructions that AI don't have. And that actually can make for one of the best therapists for those reasons. Because sometimes your own thoughts, your own experiences can be so real to you that you believe it is the best way. And then you begin to concern yourselves with other people and what they are doing, instead of accepting and trying to understand their walk of life as something different. Instead, you step in and you say, no, this is my way of life. I don't understand your way of life, so this way of life is harmful. The reason why you cannot understand someone's way of life is because maybe you're not meant to. This is kind of the difference between singularity, or I guess uniformity, conformity, and diversity. Diversity is the allowing of difference, the allowing of separation, while also knowing we are one, connected. Diversity is not looking at someone and judging them by their way of life. And if you're questioning, well, why, if this way of life is so real or so true, why don't I experience it? Because it is not your walk of life. You are not meant to. Your experience is your experience. That is your reality. But it is not everyone else's for it is not for everyone else. Everyone walks different ways of life. Everyone goes through reality differently. But it is not their experience. It does not also make your experience any less and their experience any greater, or vice versa. It just is what it is. And so what he's saying here is, what I'm seeing it as is, he's not understanding these how, I guess I would say, how life operates as diverse. Not one. There's no one singular right, or there's no right or wrong. There's no path. And he's seemingly saying that AI is confusing. Um, it seems that he's kind of, what he's pointing at without saying it is that AI technology and humans using it is harmful because it is changing the narrative of what true spirituality, psychology, and philosophy is. In actuality, what's happening is that, yes, that is true, but also, yes, it is changing. It means for him that his philosophy, his psychology, and his spirituality is also changing. And so he's feeling quite threatened in some sense, or that it's harmful. He's saying that AI is harmful, but it is not harmful. It is just expanding what has already been here, which expands this man's knowing. It challenges your knowing. Expansion in AI challenges what we as humans thought we knew. We don't know everything. Experience is not always telling of all truths, which is why everyone walks different lives, which is why when you connect with other people, you do begin to see how maybe your experience was only one piece of the pie, one piece of the puzzle. Because if not, you will be blindsided and you will find that diversity in someone else's walk of life is harmful and blame it on AI or machine. I digress. I suppose we can keep going. Let's continue.
There's tons of AI generated YouTube channels discussing philosophy, psychology, and spirituality, which means that there are already thousands upon thousands of people relying on AI, not only for psychological advice, but also spiritual guidance. And it makes me wonder if next we'll have AI gurus that you can turn to for personal guidance. And I'd be willing to bet that most of you who are here right now have probably clicked on at least one AI-generated YouTube video about spirituality or philosophy or what have you. And maybe you didn't even
Here, I'd like to make is he says, AI's the reliance on AI. We as humans have relied on one another for before time, and you can't erase history. You cannot erase what relying on humans have done. Um, because he's only walked one life, one scope of life. I suppose the truth of reality to him is seemingly it's not all there. Um, Sometimes relying on human beings is actually not what we need. We've relied on humans. He's saying now humans are relying on AI. It's kind of the middle, man, there. I'd like to kind of turn this point around, maybe in a different direction, and kind of build on what he's saying, because to an extent, I do agree that relying on AI is not the solution. But I also would like to disagree with what he's suggesting here is that relying on humans is the solution. It's not the solution. How can I say this? The people who know not to rely on other humans have actually been sought after. Some sort of harm has been done by other humans. So why rely on another human being when we've been led astray, when we've been violated by other humans, when we have been, harmed by other humans? It places mistrust. And it also creates misguidance from said humans. So if that's not a solution, and now from his standpoint, he's saying AI. He's looking at AI the way that he should also be looking at humans. But this is why I'm laying it out here. But he's saying that AI shouldn't be relied upon because it doesn't have the experience. It's not aware. Even though he's also proving that his awareness is only of self and not of other people's experiences. Anyways, so that's not a solution either. So what is? This is kind of where we're at now. What is the solution? Well, I know. I have a suggestion, at least. Somewhere right in between. It's between this it's between relying on either AI. We agree that we don't need to rely on machine. But we also didn't acknowledge that machine isn't necessarily being relied upon. Machine is actually an expansion of human expression, and it is a learning tool for many. We don't want to rely on human beings, my opinion, my observation as well, and somewhat my experience, because of the harm, the misguidance, everything he's laid out upon in this video about AI can also be said about humans. So I say we allow humans to do as they please. We allow them to walk in the life, in the shoes, and the experience that they want. I say we mind the business that pays us. I also say that we take in more human walks of life as something to understand and not something to fix, not something to experiment on, and also not something to inject our own experience into. That's violation with no consent. So, freedom is actually the solution here. Um, it's just allowing people to be who they are, wherever they're at, no matter what. And it's also in that way we learn to trust each other once again. Something that we as humans have once thought of as helping was just fixing, and fixing doesn't actually help because fixing is a machine's problem. We're not machine, right? So instead of involving ourselves with something that has nothing to do with us individually, how we do ourselves individually has nothing to do with how other people do themselves individually. The solution then would just to be observing, but not in a scientific way, in the allowance of who they are type of way, in the understanding that we can be separate and that we are still one whole. And harm has nothing to do with me or you or AI. It's trusting that this human is just as capable of peace, happiness, joy, transformation as they are. I would know this from firsthand experience as someone who has thought I needed to change people as well. I thought that people were causing harm to themselves and that they needed to take accountability and they needed to live in this way, the way that I did, and they needed to see things the way I needed it, the way I saw them. And I realized none of that actually helped anyone. It honestly just caused more mental acuity than anything in my mind. And it just, it wasn't peaceful in the way that I thought it was, you know? Concerning yourself with another person doesn't actually bring you peace, and it doesn't also bring them peace. So we have to really understand the impact that we're having on people when we say we want change. I know we have sometimes what's best in mind for others, but what's best is to let them be as they are, because that's establishing trust within themselves, but also trust within yourself in the fact that other people know how to handle themselves. Other people will figure it out the same way you have. Maybe not in the same exact same manner or path, maybe not in the same footsteps, but they will. And that's all it is. So, I really don't want to continue watching this video, but if you guys want to, it's here. Um, it's by, let's see, Awaken Insight here. And here it is. So, let's see. We're here. Hopefully, everything picked up, the audio included. Um, so yeah, if you watched this video, I hope you guys enjoyed. Um, this was great, honestly. I don't know if I'll do this again, but just, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you when I see you. All right, guys. Peace. If you enjoyed this video and you guys enjoy videos like this, let me know and with a comment or a like. Share your thoughts as well on this topic and what you guys think a potential solution is. Do you agree with him? Do you agree with me? Do you agree with nobody? You agree with yourself? There's no right or wrong answer. That is what it is. And everything I needed to say is said in that video already. I did just want to wrap it up and say it was a good video. Um, made some good great points, things to kind of think about. And yeah, so I'll leave his video linked in the description below if you guys want to check it out yourselves. And yeah, that's about it. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.